the law of this jungle is as old and as real as the sky. And the wolf that abides will prosper, but a wolf that breaks it will die. You see out here in this jungle, we run it forward and back. For the strength of the pack is the wolf, and the strength of the wolf is the pack. I used to run with the pack, nowadays I run for the pack. Represent from the front to the back, balls in my heart, my city and the map. I was in the field, you sitting on the bench. See me in the gym, rep till I'm bench. Sweat till I win, that's a victory stench. Yeah, we stay ready for the war, man, I settle in the score. Settle it. Right now I'm with the hype, I ain't in it for the light. I was down on the ground, now I'm up for the fight. I'm on it. See sight at the dark, now it's into the light. Alpha mode, down for my team. I wake up and I'm chasing a dream. Done dirt, but my crep stay clean. Step for me, view, boy, how you mean? Look at my camp with the verses. Clean sheet in him and I'm on a verse with. Prize fighter, I'm taking the purses. Death match and their family in hearses. The law of this jungle, we run it forward and back. For the strength of the pack is the wolf, and the strength of the wolf is the pack. See out here in this jungle, we run it forward and back. For the strength of the pack is the wolf, and the strength of the wolf is the pack.
A very good afternoon and welcome once again to the home of football. I'm Mikey Burrows. Alongside me is the Hall of Famer Andy Thompson and the future Hall of Famer, former Wolves defender Lee Naylor, is alongside us here at Molineux. We have lots to try and get through between now and kick-off because there's a lot going on, in fairness, isn't there? We'll get to the whole managerial situation in a little while. We'll also, of course, talk about Nottingham Forest and a couple of former players that will be coming up against today. But let's kind of get into it for the time being, Tomo, and focus on the game today with reference to what happened last week, because it's a second game with Steve Davis and James Collins still in interim charge. And for, as we mentioned last week, a lifelong Wolves supporter in Steve Davis. It's a big moment for him personally to lead a team out here at the Golden Palace today.
Yeah, it is. So, like I'm sure it's going to be a proud moment for him. Being a Wolves fan as well, so and having the opportunity to lead out his club. So, look, he'll be just bothered about the 3 points today. He'll be concentrating on that, and he's put out the side that he thinks he's going to win the game, because we are getting desperate, a little bit desperate at the minute, because that was just that one win. He's probably done everything that he can to get this team prepared for the game today, and he'll be hoping for those 3 points. But yeah, that's all he'll be bothered about today.
And in some respects, Lee Naylor, it's such a big game to be in charge of that. He won't. I mean, he'll probably have lost a lot of sleep anyway when you're in charge of a team. But coming into a game like this, there's an awful lot of pressure on it, right?
Yeah, I mean, coming into the game, he's full of excitement, taking charge of the first team and being in that environment. But then the task at hand is huge. There's a lot at stake. We're down the bottom of the table. Teams in and around us are playing today also, so it's a massive game.
I'm just looking there. Leicester and Crystal Palace are still 0-0 in added time at the end of the lunchtime kickoff. Obviously, these two teams down the bottom, not where they want to be. What did you see, Tomo, last week in terms of anything that Stephen James might have tried to change or tweak in the approach, in the tactics, anything that stood out to you from Stamford Bridge?
Well, I'll just think that he wants his team to play with a little bit of flair. Excuse me, a little bit of flair in that top third and have a go. But again, it didn't work out. We did have opportunities, but we wasted them. So either through having too much time, not selecting the right pass. But I'm sure that he's worked a lot on that top third about finishing and trying to get people with confidence, because that's what it looks like. It looks like players are okay, back third, middle third are okay with the ball. That top third, just something isn't clicking, and he'll be focusing on that, I would think, as well in training all week, trying to get his players, lift his players up. Again, he's playing Costa again today, and every game that's coming, so another week of training, he's going to hope that he's going to get himself sharper. So look, I think that it would have worked a lot in that top third for me.
Yeah, I mean, they got about 55 minutes out of him. Here's Danny Mills trying to get himself involved. He loves being on Wolves TV, this guy. He's never played for Wolves, but he loves Wolves TV. How are you, buddy? Listen, it's a situation, isn't it, whereby we know we need to score goals, right? But at the moment, we also need to maybe defend a little bit better. And I wonder, Leonada, from a defensive point of view, the manner of that first goal last week, where Wolves weren't able to put pressure on and stop the cross. And as a fullback, you'll have heard that millions of times in your career. That's a key part of it, right? That the level and the work rate has to be there to match it in attack and defence. Yeah,
I mean, as a fullback, your job's to, win your duels, and your duels against the winger who normally gets the crosses in. So, if you stop the crosses, it stops danger on your goal. But at the same time, you're not always going to be able to stop the crosses, and it's what you do after that and how you defend as a unit when the ball comes into the box.
They have to do something right today, Tomo. They have to find a way to ignite the fan base a little bit, because it's got quiet here, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's been a rough time, and I think you're both aware. You've known it, whereby this place can be toxic at times. They need people behind them for minute one today.
Yeah, they are. So, look, people are getting a little bit fed up with the situation, I think. Not having a manager, but results as well doesn't help. And some of the fans want to see what we had a few years ago. They want to see a team that's playing with flair, scoring goals, and it'd be great to have it. But for me, it's just about the result today. I don't care about the performance. We've got to get that result. We've got to win. I know we've got Leicester coming up as well, which are below us. But it's a massive game today. We've seen it in the press room. The amount of press that are here today because of what's at stake in the game. So looking about what we need. And look, say it's going to be a difficult game because they're fighting for their lives, but we're fighting for ours as well in this division, and we need to make sure that we get that result.
I knew Tomo would mention that, by the way. He's absolutely furious that he's not been able to sit at his usual table and have his pre-match meal. Fuming he was. Went and sat on his own. He wants some of the seats away from everybody.
I looked like I was fuming, when you asked me if I wanted pudding.
I can't believe it weren't reserved, Tomo.
Somebody moved me plat, mate. That's what it was.
Honestly, this is what I have to deal with, ladies and gentlemen. But we will get into the whole managerial situation. And I say we'll talk more about Nottingham Forest to come. Nathan Judah from the Expression Star will join us as well. Interested in your views? You can get in contact. Use the hashtag Wolves Live on Twitter, at Mikey Burrows, at Wolves, to have your say on everything that's going on around the football club at the minute. But let's take a quick look back at the highlights. We say highlights. We know there wasn't really too many highs. But we'll look at what happened last week at Stamford Bridge. This is Mason Mount for Chelsea, midway inside the Wolves half, out to the left-hand side to Pulisic, driving infield towards the edge of the box and curling an effort. Brilliant save from Jose Sarr. Absolutely top class from the Wolves goalkeeper. Flying high to his left, managed to tip it away. It's a stunning stop. Mateus steps away from Gallagher and then scoops a delightful ball to Traore. And Traore clips across in. Oh, Mateus arriving. Couldn't get over the top of it and heads over the top of the crossbar. That's a really good move from Wolves' point of view. Totti to challenge. Mount has the ball right on the right-hand touchline. Back to Chalobah. Now for Mason Mount again. Drills his cross high to the far post. Looped across. Oh, no, it's in. Kai Havertz has scored, and Wolves' resistance is ended right at the end of the first period. There goes Mason Mount for Chelsea. Down the left-hand side for Pulisic, up towards the edge of the penalty area, cutting back infield. Mount was closed down, it comes through to Pulisic, it's two. It's a brilliant finish. Drew the goalkeeper, lifted it over him, and Chelsea have a second. Here's Brozier in behind. Flagger stayed down. Edge of the penalty area. Turning, shooting, scoring. Game over. It's a super goal. But it rounds off another disappointing day for those in old gold. A defence left exposed. And Brozier took full advantage.
We're back at home this afternoon to face Nottingham Forest. This is interim manager Steve Davis's second game in charge and his first here at Molineux. The last time we faced Nottingham Forest in the top flight was 38 years ago, back in 1984. We had a mixed record against them in the second tier, but since 2015 we've only lost once, winning 5 and drawing 2. That includes our most recent meeting in the second round of the League Cup at the start of last season, where we won 4-0 away at the City Ground. And on the score sheet that day was Morgan Gibbs-White, who this summer made the move to Forest and will be returning to Molineux today for the first time since his departure. Now, today is one of the Premier League's dedicated no room for racism fixtures as we continue to tackle racism on and off the pitch. The players will be taking the knee today to make sure that we continue to promote the message that there is no room for racism in football or anywhere. And if you were to see anything on social media today, then you can share that post with the fan services team here at Wolves via email, who will take further action.
Really important message from Gemma Frith there. So let's talk a little bit about the situation in which we find ourselves. Joining us on Matchday Live Extra is the Express and Stars Nathan Judah. Tomo, I will come to you first. Look, it's the first home game back since Bruno's departure, and a lot is clearly going on behind the scenes. They haven't been able to find the successor just yet. And you kind of, I guess the question I would pose to you is kind of, how do we get everything back focusing in the right direction? Because clearly there has been a disconnect. We just talked about the atmosphere around this place a little bit. We need an inspiration, right? How do we find that and take this club moving forwards again?
Well, they've got to appoint somebody, haven't they? It's as simple as that. They need to put somebody, the right person, don't get me wrong, but they've got to put somebody in as soon as possible. They need to make sure they try and stabilise everything, give people a little bit of trust and faith in the team that they've got here. Because we've spoke many times about the squad that we've got. We've got a great squad, but we just needed some guidance from appointing a manager. The longer it goes on, I think that people are just going to get fed up with it, thinking, why have we got rid of another manager when we didn't have one in place? How quick it come, the sacking of Bruno. But look, that they want somebody at the helm. They want somebody who they can listen to and can see, and somebody in charge. And I think the players will as well. The players will want somebody at the front of everything and the manager of this team, because we can't afford to keep going on week in, week out without a manager.
But it's a complicated process, isn't it, Nathan? And I guess part of the thinking perhaps, and look, you're at the press conferences, you speak to people in and around, in most importantly, you speak to fans as well. This is such I mean, it always is, you've got to get decisions right, but it feels like even more so now, they have to get this decision right.
It's a massive, massive appointment for this football club. The fans are incredibly frustrated speaking to them. They're very nervous going into the ground today. And yeah, it's huge. I don't think anyone in a million years would have thought going into this game, 9 games into the season, there'd be no manager, no backroom staff, 1 point away from Nottingham Forest, 18th versus 20th, 3 goals all season. It's a huge appointment. And it's a huge game for this football club as well. But yeah, if it takes time, it takes time. But this is really, really important. I don't think even the most, I would say, positive Wolves fans would have thought that they would have been in this position. And it's a huge appointment. And they've got to get it right. They've got to get it right, because anything apart from a win today, and I think a lot of people think they're in a relegation battle. I think a lot of people do, to be honest. And I hate to say that, but this is a big game for this football club.
It's an interesting point, Nails, and Tomo can come back in on this in a second. In that kind of, we've all kind of thought, I think, along the lines, haven't we, that this is a really good squad and it shouldn't be in a relegation battle. Is the realisation dawning for a few that this is a difficult situation now and it could go either way still?
Yeah, the longer you go without winning games and not scoring, he put pressure on the defence, and then goals started to leak. I mean, before the Man City game, if you look at it, we had the best defensive record in the league. So if you go off the back of that, then you see what's wrong going on the other end of the pitch. Scoring goals is what the problem was, and I think everyone got nervous at that point, and then it started to leak through the team, and you could see that in the performances. So yeah, I mean, I feel for them at the minute, but it's only them who can get them out of this. Those in that dressing room right now, and whoever they appoint as manager.
Tomo?
Yes, agree. So look, we've got to appoint somebody sooner rather than later. Our biggest problem, and this is why everybody's concerned, is we just don't look like scoring. We just don't look like scoring and winning games. As Niall's touched on there, our defensive record isn't bad, apart from Man City and Chelsea. So look, the results, well, same results, I'll say the goals against us haven't been too bad. But it's always going to be a problem if you don't look like you're going to be a threat up the top end of the pitch, and that's the problem that we've got. I know we brought in Costa, but it don't just solve anything, because you want goals from all different positions on the pitch, and unfortunately we're finding it very hard. We never have been a free scoring team, never have been really a team that are going to hit in a lot of goals. We've always done well defensively, but we've got to try and rectify that top end of the pitch for me. So look, it's something crucial if we want to win a game. If we can't score, we can't win. So look, say apart from that, so look, I think the rest of the team, we spoke about the squad, have done okay, but we've got to try and do that top end for me.
Because Nathan, you've been on record, and on our press panel show the other week, we talked about this is such a good squad, and you still believe it's good enough for top half at least.
I do, and I just think it needs, like Thomas says, the right person to come in and get a tune out of these players. These players have not become bad overnight. These players aren't relegation, bottom of the Premier League type of players. These players are used to playing Europa League, Champions League football. I still believe that they're a great squad, not just a great team, but a great squad. But it needs something. It needs some kind of a spark, and it needs the right manager to go in. You know, we were in that press conference thing. All of us were after West Ham, and Bruno looked like he was really struggling and knew what was around the corner. This is a huge appointment, and at the same time, yes, Bruno made mistakes, and the fans obviously let him know that they made mistakes. He didn't get helped out by some of these players, and this is a big game. Some of these players have got to stand up today, and they've got to show what they're made of. And yes, if they get a manager in the next 2 games or 3 games or 4 games, well, let's concentrate on today. Let's concentrate on Nottingham Forest and Crystal Palace and Leicester City. They're playing, 16th in the table, 19th in the table, 20th in the table. These players have now got to, work for Steve Davis, show what they're made of, and score some goals. Because, like you guys said as well, it's not just scoring goals. They're not even creating chances. So they've got to create chances today. They're going to get the majority of possession. And unfortunately, with possession, they haven't really created those chances. It's fine having possession. They've got to really be proactive today in what they do and be clinical at the same time. It's a lot to ask. It's not going to be the prettiest game in the world. But hopefully a new manager, whoever that may be, will look at this. We'll look at Tuesday night if they get a good result and go, yeah, I can work with these players. I can really get a tune out of them and get themselves out of this bottom 6, bottom 7 and up to mid-table.
Just before we let you go, Nathan, you mentioned you've been out talking to fans pre-game as you do. What is your sense from the mood from those who will be in the stands today?
I think it's going to be very, very nervous. They will back the team. And, I think you said, Mikey, Molyneux's not been the loudest place at this moment in time, and that's because of the performances as well. But it needs the fans, but it needs the players to get them going as well. So they'll be behind this team today. It'll be interesting to see some of the chants that might come out from the supporters, but they need a little bit of someone to create a spark, whether that's a Damatrori to get some bums off seats, whether it's a Diego Costa goal, just to get this team and get this stadium rocking. They are very, very nervous, and the last thing you want is to go in 0-0 at half time. We're going to the 60th and 70th minute. An early goal would just really, really help this atmosphere. They're ready to go. They're ready to support, but when you've scored 3 goals all season, it's difficult to really make it loud. It's an early goal would be great, and hopefully that'll happen. But the supporters are fantastic. They've just had frustration after disappointment, and they're in a limbo with their management at the moment, and they need something to cheer and get behind. A Diego Costa early goal would be great.
Nathan, really appreciate your time. Thank you very much indeed, Nathan Judah from the Express and Star. More from Tomo and Lee Naylor in just a second. We'll talk about Forest and a few familiar faces that are in amongst that Forest team in just a second here on Wolves TV's Matchday Live Extra.
Wolverhampton is a proud and diverse city, proud of its history and proud of its people. When times are tough and life is challenging, Wolverhampton stands together. At Wolves Foundation, we are the heartbeat of the community. We support thousands of people across the city of all ages and abilities. Half of the people we work with are from areas among the most deprived 10% in the country. We encourage people to become healthier and more active. 92% of our participants have improved their mental and physical well-being. We develop lifelong learning and skills. 90% of our participants have improved their educational achievement. We work hard to build safe, strong, and active communities. 84% of our participants feel they have contributed to a safer, stronger, and more inclusive community. Football is such a powerful sport. It brings us together and drives us forward. At Wolves Foundation, we are proud of our work and proud of our impact. Creating opportunities and changing lives.
This is the starting lineup that Steve Davis and James Collins have selected for today. That man in your picture, Adama Traore, could be so crucial. There are two changes, by the way. Ruben Neves returns from suspension. Nathan Collins sees out the final game of his ban. And there is a return for Rayne Nouri in the defensive lineup. So Jose Sarr in goal, Johnny, Maximilian Kilman, Totti and Rayne Nouri the back four. Ruben Neves restored to a three-man midfield with Mateus Nunes and João Moutinho. Then Adama Traore and Daniel Pedence either side of Diego Costa. Boubacar Traore is back from illness to bolster the substitutes. Gonzalo Guedes amongst them. Joe Hodge in there. Chem Campbell we'll talk about in a moment, having signed a new contract. No place for Conor Ronan amongst the replacements, which is a disappointment for me. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But Tomo, what do you make of the starting lineup? They've kind of gone with the options that they have, really.
Yeah, and it's nice to see Traore still in the team, the starting lineup. So he's gone with Costa, so he's persevering with him. Look, Neves was always going to come back into the side after the suspension, and it's nice to see that he's actually playing in his favoured position. So we've just got to go out and take the game to Forest, and I think he's picked the side that's going to do that, and he's hoping that his lads up front, Pedence as well, are going to do a good job for him.
There will be some that say, Lee Naylor, that it's cautious. They could have stayed with the 4-2-3-1, but is it understandable that they've gone with those seniority of players in there?
Yeah, I mean, we want to keep the back door shut. And then he's gone with Costa up front. So, to be fair, I was just looking at him there, warming up, and he looked sharp. So, hopefully he brings that into the game. I think, the result is massive today, and everyone knows it. It's the most important thing. Tomo touched on it earlier, and I mean, I couldn't give two hoots about the performance. I just want to win.
I'm with you. So we've got to get 3 points. Got to get it. That's got to be what we've got to get at least from this game today. So I think a draw or a loss is no good to us at all.
One thing we did see last week, Tomo, was a little bit more adventure from Mateus in midfield. We saw him carry the ball a couple of times really nicely, and that could be important, right?
Yeah, it is. So I saw glimpses of what we paid a lot of money for. With the way that he drives forward with the ball, he looks so comfortable when he's doing it. And I think with the way that the results are going, the performances, he's probably been a little bit restricted as such in the way that he plays. But we've seen a little bit his flair last week, and we want to see more of it. It might help him with Moutinho and Neves in there with him. Now he's just starting to find his feet a little bit more, but without doubt, we need somebody like him to drive us forward and hopefully get opportunities to score, create things for the front line. But yeah, it was nice to see from our midfielder.
Yeah, hopefully a big performance from him. Quick word on the fullbacks, Lee Naylor. Rene Nori comes in to start. Johnny moves over again. Your thoughts on that, really? And I guess the question about, and Tomo can chip in on this because you've done it plenty of times, switching for Johnny on either side, and how easy or difficult that is.
Look, I done it once and I found it really difficult. Tomo used to do it on the regular. It was bread and butter for him. It seems like Johnny can do that as well. Bringing out Nori in, I think he wanted to go a bit more attacking down that side. That's why he came in. So yeah, I mean, Johnny's got the ability to come in and do a job any side.
Okay, we'll see how it goes today. We'll talk about Manu signed a new contract in just a second, but Steve Davis still in interim charge. He faced the media yesterday.
Yeah, as I say, we're just trying to keep players positive, which we managed to do over the last couple of weeks. We've looked into things we can improve, and that's without doubt we need to improve. If we're going to continue to climb up the league, we need to get some points, but we're working hard on the areas where we think we can get better. And like any team that's not picking up results or scoring goals at the moment, it's imperative that we do that.
Steve Davis in charge, stepping up from the under-18s. James Collins helping him out, stepping up from the under-21s. One player who is hoping to make a big impact, stepping up from the under-21s this season, is Chem Campbell.
I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs. I hit the ground and it go off. Yeah, hit the ground and it go off. Yeah, I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it costs. Yeah, I hit the ground and it go off. Yeah, hit the ground and it go off. Yeah, run it. Tied my jersey early. Whole crew coming. Had to work something because I had nothing in my pocket. Yeah, I did all that. Big plans. Partners trying to make profits. Yeah, I did all that. Work, sweat, and tears breaking even no ends. Yeah, I did all that. Had to make it happen. Putting hours in my practice. I did all that. My time, think it's my
A new contract this week for a man who many people forget is the second youngest player in the club's history when he played against Aston Villa in the League Cup a couple of seasons ago. Nails, you've seen him quite a lot because you go to quite a lot of the under-21s games. It's his time, right? He's had a couple of cameos recently where he's shown that his ability to be direct and to have that pace and skill, this is his opportunity to shine now with a new manager coming in. He's got to grasp it.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's got ability. He's always had the ability. There was a time, in his youth career that we didn't know which way he was going to go. Turned the corner, just stepped it up a gear. And obviously he's in and around the first team now. For me, he's got all the ability. If he has chances, then he's got to go and take them. He might be, maybe a season away from being actually a regular. I think a year away on loan will do him a world of good. But, he's in the mix at the moment. And he can contribute for us going forward.
He has to make himself, Tomo, that go-to player off the bench at the minute. So we've seen him have two rather impressive cameos in the last two games. How does he follow it up?
Yeah, well, he's just got to keep performing. That's as Niles was touching on there. So he's got to do something to show the manager or the new manager coming in that he's got something to offer. He's got something to offer. He's direct. He has a go. He's got to play with confidence. He did that. He got more of a run out against West Ham where he looked pretty good coming from that left-hand side. But he's got to just take the opportunity. He's got to make sure that when he does come on, he gives it everything. He's got to make sure that he performs on the pitch, shows the manager what he can do and how he can play. And as you touched on there, that he's the man to bring on if he needs somebody up front. And that's what he's got to do. He's got to go out there and absolutely work his socks off to get something out of it. And again, it's nice for him to sign that new contract as well.
Yeah, it's a reward, isn't it, Nails? But it can't be seen as having arrived for him because he's not quite arrived just yet.
No, I mean, as I just touched on just there, for me, to come into the Premier League off not being in a first team before, it's difficult. So for me, maybe January's a loan deal for him with other players hopefully coming in. But he's certainly got ability, and he's got a chance. He's on the bench. If he comes on, then that's his chance to shine.
Because this part of the reason in talking about him as well is that there's a guy in the opposition today who has been in a very similar position to him, having shone out in the youth ranks, having been a local boy, having been highly talked about, who can get people, bums off seats, but also, as we talked about a couple of weeks ago, finds it harder to make an impact when you are that kid that comes through the academy. So actually, Campbell against Morgan Gibbs-White is quite a fascinating kind of, that's what you can get to.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of them where you're going to come up against your mates, that people are going to move on, and there's going to be times where you come up against your pals. I've done it. I'm sure Tom has done it. Yeah. And at the end of the day, they just become another opponent.
Do you look at Morgan today, Tomo? We were just discussing it beforehand. The bookies clearly fancy him to score today.
Well, he's an ex-player, isn't it? It's always going to.
So it's the law of football, right? Yeah. But he's a big threat, right?
Yeah, of course he is. So of course he is. Look, he done well on loan when he was at Swansea, Sheffield United, but unfortunately it just didn't click for him here, and that's how it is at clubs. So sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't, and it just wouldn't work for him here. So he had all the potential to go on and get something in the first team, but it was that consistency for us. He didn't do enough to tie down that regular place. And look, if he's taking the work, and sometimes he doesn't, he's done the right thing. He's moved on. He's gone somewhere else and tries his luck as well in the Premier League with Forest. But look, so when he's gone there as well, he's got a lot to prove still for me. So look, he hasn't really done it in the Premier League, and that's where he needs to. He's done it in the Championship on a regular basis with the teams that I mentioned, but he's got a lot to prove. That can he do it in the Premiership? And look, say Forest were always going to struggle coming into the league, so it's going to be tough for him. But he's got to go out there and just perform as much best he can.
Because Nails, from a football business perspective, what a deal from Wolves' point of view.
Absolutely, I think you get that sort of money for a player you've brought through the ranks. As a football club, as a business, you're rubbing your hands and you're laughing, But for him, it was about playing football regularly, and that's what he felt he had to do.
Willy Bolly and Wayne Hennessy amongst the Nottingham Forest substitutes today. Some of the crazy influx of players that they had this summer. We haven't got enough time to talk about all the players Nottingham Forest signed this summer. We only have 45 minutes build up. We will get the boys' predictions in just a second after we look at the last time these two teams met, and you might spot someone who's now playing on the opposite team making a big part of it.
This time gets it neatly into the feet of Aït-Nouri, and Aït-Nouri will drive up towards the corner of the penalty area and trying to go around the outside of back, and he will do so, and he fizzed a low cross in, and it comes out. It's Podence who strikes it, and it's a really good save by Horvath. Here's Podence, right inside of the box. Daniel Podence to strike, back off the inside of the post, and it just will not go in.
Oh dear.
And here comes Richardson. He's quick, the left back, and he finds Konate. Konate delivering a right-footed cross to the far post, and it's headed across goal, thankfully, by the arriving Oliver Hammond. Forest's best attack of the game so far. Being shown infield again, Matinho. Again, chooses not to shoot, finds Podence, who strikes it over the top of the crossbar from right on the edge of the penalty area. Again, 5 to aim for. Plays it short to Matinho. Pulled back to Hoover. One touch. Delivers his cross. Fabio Silva missed it, and this time it's in. Squeeze home. Romain Saiss is taking the acclaim. And finally, the wait is over. Wolverhampton Wanderers have a goal for the new season. Fabio Silva has robbed Harbottle, driving forwards, pulling the ball low. Daniel Podence with one touch. Daniel Podence scores, and you wait all that time for a goal, and two come along in quick succession. Daniel Podence with the cool, calm and assured finish. It's Nottingham Forest 0, Wolves 2. Pulling it back here for João Matinho. Matinho lining one up, then tried a clever little ball to Fabio Silva, who struck it on the turn. That's a great effort. And it's an equally good save. And it's Aït-Nouri's corner, left-footed from the right-hand side. Bodies coming forwards. Oh, big save again. But here comes Hoover, who's in an advanced role. Gibbs White to Fabio Silva, onto Trincao. Francisco Trincao opens his Wolves account with a lovely side-footed finish into the bottom corner. And he wraps up a Wolves victory with their third goal that takes them into round 3 of the League Cup. Now a loose pass to Dendoncker. Finds Gibbs White, up to the edge of the penalty area. Gibbs White striking, finding the bottom corner, rasping right foot finish. It's the icing on the cake of another impressive attacking performance, and finally the goals are coming.
Hang on, I'm just having to pinch myself because we scored 4 goals there. I mean, did that actually happen? That doesn't happen, does it?
I wonder why you look surprised.
Oh, that was a long time ago. Quick predictions then, boys. Nails, you can go first. What are you thinking today?
3-1 Wolverines.
Oh, 3-1, okay.
That's what I was going to go for. Yeah, I agree with Nails. He's gone 3. I'll give me usual 2-1. I was going to have 3.
2-1, Tomo. What
I was going to have 3-1. But I'll let you have it.
Kid?
I'll let you have it. I'll go 2-1.
I mean, I know I say this most weeks.
1-0.
But genuinely.
I'll take 1-0.
Genuinely,
Anything.
I'd take 1-0.
Yeah, I would as well. Take anything.
Just win the game, please.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's goals, great, but just please win the game. Full radio commentary from Lee Naylor, Andy Thompson and myself, available at wolves.co.uk and via the Wolves app, wherever you are. Fingers crossed, today is the day that Wolves can get it right on the pitch. Join us there in a couple of minutes.
See the law of this jungle, it's as old and as real as the sky. And the wolf that abides will prosper, but a wolf that breaks it will die. You see out here in this jungle, we run it forward and back. For the strength of the pack is the wolf, and the strength of the wolf is the pack. I used to run with the pack, nowadays I run for the pack. Represent from the front to the back, wolves in my heart, my city on the map. I was in the field, you're sitting on the bench. See me in the gym, rep till I'm bench. Yeah. Sweat till I win, that's a victory stench. Yeah, we stay ready for the war, man, I settle in the score. Right now I'm with the hype, I ain't in it for the light. I was down on the ground, now I'm up for the fight. Seaside at the dark, now it's into the light. Out for more, down for my team. I wake up and I'm chasing a dream. Don't dirt from my crap, stay clean. Step for me, rude boy, how you mean? Look at my count with the verses. Clean sheet in him and I'm on a verse with. Prize fighter, I'm taking the verses. Death match in your family in hearses. The law of this jungle, we run it forward and back. For the strength of the pack is the wolf, and the strength of the wolf is the pack. You see out here in this jungle, we run it forward.